And also, I've gone over all this stuff. I've talked about all the defensive rankings, but I'm an outsider. As I said, I write for the Dolphins, about the Dolphins in a Miami Dolphins magazine. That's my team. I study them all the time. I know so much about that team because I live that team. And I hear people talk about the Dolphins, and as a person who's a fan, a writer, and all this, I see that they obviously don't know what they're talking about sometimes because they're looking at stats. They're looking at from an outside looking in. So if there are any fans out there, Atlanta fans, I would like you to give me your insight. I'd like to hear what you have to say. So in the comments down below, if you're an Atlanta fan, let me know what you think, because the reality is, if you're in love with that team and you're watching all the time, you know the inside scoop. But let's keep looking forward at the roster. Let's look at the Atlanta roster, okay? When you go back and you look at the 2016 team and 2017, which was really when the Falcons had hit their prime, that roster was star-studded. But now, I had a hard time finding elite players on your roster. O-line, you got Jake Matthews, who was back there in 2016, 2017. He's a 26 rated tackle. That's an excellent position. That's an excellent player to have on your team. You got Chris Lindstrom, 9th best guard. But as far as I saw, after that, there's nothing. And in the NFL, you need a starting 5 and at least a quality 6-man. And right now, it doesn't appear like you even have that. A nice little piece you have to help this running game, because I believe running game is essential, is Keith Smith, the number 1 rated fullback in the league. And it's a dinosaur position. I grew up with the fullback. It was a key position. Allstat was the last great special fullback. But I still believe there's a space for it. I see with the Patriots, even the Dolphins, that a lot of teams are trying to move back. You look at Nashville, Tennessee. They're trying to go back to that old style of grinded out physical football. So I think there's an opportunity. The only two things that I find with Matthews and Lindstrom is they're a little light in the pants. So it would be nice to see you guys add some quality linemen that have some size to it. For years, you ran the stretch zone runs. And I remember back with the Broncos, they used to run that. Shanahan used to run it, but that's when they cut people and chop block. It was super effective. But then when they put the rules in to kind of cut that away, it still was effective, but it's based on some trickery, athleticism. You have a very athletic line to pull that off. And sometimes I felt like you can't always trick teams. That the stretch zone run sometimes hit a wall where if you were running man block or zone block straight, I felt like it was if you had bigger offensive linemen, you could instill your will. Whereas those stretch zone runs, they're very dependent on an elite center, very dependent on athletic linemen, and sometimes you just need to physically get in there and drive. And if you have small athletic linemen, you can't really do that. So you got you got zone stretch linemen on the team right now, but they could easily fit in if you brought in some size. So you got some pieces there, but that's not good enough. You can see by Ryan the way he's been getting beat up and the lack of the running game that you need blockers. So right there, that's a big piece that if you bring a rookie in, what are you going to spend the next 2 picks on the line and pray that one of them pans out? Because that's the reality. All top picks in the draft, the first round, 75% make it, 25% don't. Then when you get to the second round, it's 50%. So again, there's so much opportunity to build around Ryan and take one more last run. But you look at your skills. You got some good skills. Julio Jones, 8th best receiver in the league. Still, like a Hall of Fame. Let's just say Hall of Fame. And then you have Calvin Ridley, 11th best receiver in the league. So right there, you have your first and second. And then Russell Cage you got him that's 29th best receiver in the league. You have 3 of the top 30 skill positions receivers in the league. Tight end, you're a little short. You got Hayden Hurst, 55th best. But now what's the deal with him? I remember him being very good the prior year in 2019. There was a lot of talk about him, but he seemed to fall off. Was it injuries, nagging injuries? What was the situation with that? Maybe you guys can comment below, let me know. I really didn't do enough research to find out what happened. But then I do like your running back, Mike Davis, the little spark plug at 5'9", 217. 24th best running back this year. He had a rough year last year, but the year before he was ranked 24th best. Quality player. He's not elite, but that's a really good piece. You could draft a nice running back maybe in the 3rd or 4th round, come compliment them until you can find something better down the road. So you got a good piece right there. The offense isn't too far off. All you need is maybe 1 or 2 linemen this year to plug in there to set it up for next year's draft. And then you could really lock this offense up. But defense, from what I saw, was a disaster. Deion Jones, 12th best linebacker in the league. But again, 6'1", 227. One of the best, if not top 3 best coverage linebackers. But that's small. And then your other linebacker is Foye Oluokun, 35th best linebacker. 6'2", I believe, 215. But that's light in the pants too. So your linebacking core has 2 quality cover linebackers, but they're not great at stopping a run, and they're small. You guys need a big old Mike or big Sam linebacker. Maybe Deion stays in the middle. Get yourself a nice big Sam linebacker. I don't know what defense you're running right now, but maybe in some kind of zone, Tampa zone, you can get away with small linebackers like that. But then if you look at the quality players you have on defensive line, you have Grady Jarrett, 6 foot 305, 13th best interior lineman in the league. But most of that comes from his pass rush. Again, he cannot stop the run. He's not a really quality run stopper, and he's small. So you have small linebackers, a small interior lineman. I do like Michael Walker, 8th best DE in the league, and he, from what I've seen, he's able to play both the run and the pass. That's probably your best defensive player. But secondary, where is it? Secondary, where is it? There isn't a secondary. And you can see how your secondary has been ripped apart. When you made it to the Super Bowl, when you made it to the playoffs, you had some quality secondary players. They were able to turn a game around. They were able to, shut down 3rd down. You got nothing. So you go get your quarterback in the 1st round, and that big rush in the mid-teens to early 20s of the top cornerbacks in the league, they're gone. Now you got your young quarterback you roll a dice on, no offensive line, and maybe you're drafting a corner in the back end, and maybe that's going to start helping you. To me, the biggest piece you need right now is an elite corner. You can find this is a very deep draft for linebackers. You can find your big old Sam or maybe a Mike or something like that later in the draft in the mid-rounds. You can find your defensive lineman, like a guy to pull up for this year, a run stopper, maybe safeties. You need safeties. You can find them usually in a second. Sometimes you'll find cornerbacks you can convert over to safety. But elite cornerbacks that you believe that have a real shot, the best chance to find them this year is going to be in that 8 to 22 spot. And if you trade back with one of these teams, Jerry, the Lions, I just talked now, you hear the Patriots, they're going to make a move up and try to rush to get Fields. Now that could be a huge haul, but that would put you a little outside. There's some plays you get. I think that might be a little too far back, but I would like to see a trade to like in the 10 area. I think if you get to 10, if Jerry would lose his mind and demand to have Pitts, it could be a perfect deal for you. You could get Patrick Surtain, which I really, really like the second. As a Dolphins fan, I might be a little biased, but I really like that player at 10 plus the extra picks. I don't know. All right, so the talk is young quarterback or Ryan. But when you look at the current squad, if you surmise it, small defense, very few impact players, mostly agile players who can either pass rush or cover, no one to stop the run, and a weak O-line that's not deep. But you got skills. So you got the 12th best quarterback quality 3 receivers, a tight end who could bounce back and have another good year, a decent running back, 1 or 2 good picks over there to fill out your offensive line. Now you got a quality offensive line. And you could pick one of these quality lines in this linemen in the second round. There's a lot of good quality linemen in the second round. So you got a new head coach, new GM. I like Arthur Smith. I thought Ryan Tannehill was done totally wrong. Half his career was wasted because the Dolphins were trying to turn him into a guy he wasn't. They wanted him to be Brett Favre or Tom Brady, sitting in the pocket, making the reads, getting the ball out quick. I mean, obviously the Titans had the perfect environment, good defense, excellent run game, allowed Ryan to minimize his throws and make key throws and use his agility, use his speed and his ability to get out of the pocket and be smart and ball, turnover conscious. So Smith did a really good job with them, saved his career. This is who he should have been. And that's the thing I like about Smith. He saw Tannehill for what he could actually do, not what he wanted him to do. So I like Smith, young though, inexperienced. Terry Fontenot comes from the Saints. Saints have been in win now mode. So if you go back and look at their drafts over the last 2, maybe 3 years, they've just been throwing picks away. And they really haven't been that good. But prior to that, they've had some stellar drafts. And Fontenot was the VP and assistant GM. So he had played a major role in picking all these good players that the Saints have had. Obviously Breeze got injured. They were robbed a couple of years ago with that bogus pass interference call. But when you look at their roster, yes, it became bloated, but they did well in the draft. So as a Falcons fan, I'd be very excited. I think you have 2 young, smart, successful minds leading your team. But look at Matt Ryan again. I got to bring it back to him. All right? And he's going to be Luscious Linda here for a minute. All eyes on him. People are saying, move on from Ryan. Okay. 2016, when you went to the Super Bowl, okay? Ryan threw 38 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and 4,944 yards. That was his stat line. He was sacked 37 times, 3 fumbles. That was good enough to go to the Super Bowl. Again, backed by a very good team. 2018. This is already 2018. He had the 28th worst defense, 26th worst run game, 22nd least in pressure, and he still threw for a very comparable 35 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and 4,924 yards. So Ryan, in 2016, was backed by a super team. Threw the same amount of yards as he did in 2018, but one year he goes to the Super Bowl, and another year he goes 7-9. So the reality is, Atlanta Falcons have the right quarterback. They have the right quarterback for the next couple of years if they can keep him protected. All you need to do is build around him. So what's the best way? Trade back. I cannot see any other possibility if a team presents it for the Atlanta Falcons other than keep Ryan, get as much draft capital as they can, trade back, start building depth, start finding starters, and look to get back to who they are either next year or the year after and get a nice one. And in the process, maybe you find a quality rookie that falls late and you drafted so well with this extra capital. You could take that young quarterback. Matt Ryan could easily play till 40 if you build around him. The Saints, shot. They're in cap hell. They don't really got a quarterback. So you don't have to worry about them for the next couple of years. Panthers, they got Darnold. Is Darnold really going to turn it around? Maybe, but still, it's not. Darnold is not going to be Matt Ryan. The only thing you have to, in your way, to win the division And that's what it's all about. Win the division, make the postseason, and then you worry about winning. It's win the division. You have the Bucs with a 45-year-old Tom Brady. Greatest quarterback of all time, no doubt. 45. One injury. And then you're in the driver's seat if you build right. If it's not this year, at least next year. At least next year. This team could put themselves with good coaching. Remember, the best teams in the league are the teams that find depth players, and if they're really good starters, post-draft, undrafted free agents. The fact that you have the 4th overall pick means that you're going to have edge on the waivers over most teams. The fact that this team is so Swiss cheesed up, you're going to be able to pull these players in, get them, fill this team out. Cheap free agents on the second round of free agency. There's so many opportunities for a smart team with extra picks this year. This Falcons team could become competitive. They have cap issues, so I think that will restrict them as far as free agency. But this second round of free agency, these guys are looking for jobs. They're starting to get desperate. They are starting to get desperate, and they're going to come cheap. So there's an opportunity for the Falcons to be respectable this year, free themselves up from cap hell for 2022 with those extra picks, with one of the best quarterbacks in the league who still got it to make hay in 2022. So again, this is from outside looking in. I was rooting for you guys when you went against the Patriots a couple of years ago. Broke my heart, not as much for you as it did for me to see you guys lose. But I have respect for your team. And I have respect for Matt Ryan. Kind of is like the fish that got away. The luscious Linda that got away. So let me know what you think about how I view the team in the situation. And it'll be very interesting. We got only a couple weeks to see. I'm kind of a little nervous because you guys could put a big monkey wrench in my Dolphins plans. I was really hoping for Pitts. But you guys might have ended up being smarter. You might have held your water longer, and it might actually work out for you better. We'll see. But if you made it this long, I thank you for staying. Hope you enjoyed our little talk about the Falcons. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe below. Thank you so much. Be well.